There was a James Spader vibe that just vanished. He was one moment everywhere, disturbing audiences, snatching scenes, leaving that odd lasting emotion after credits rolled. Almost unexpectedly, phones stopped ringing. Nothing major, goodbye, no revival. And now, no new projects in sight. A familiar question returns. Why did James Spader leave Hollywood? Why did he never appear? That worried about returning. The childhood formed gloom. James Spader grew up right on a classroom edge. He matured in Brooks School faculty housing, a prep school. His father taught English. His mother taught art at Tanither local school. After that, James went to Andover's Phillips Academy, one of the top high schools in the nation. On paper, he was privileged and educated. In actuality, life was much simpler than seemed. Not much was additional money at home. Two teachers raising family income from school meant everything were usually snug. Also, there a quiet irony too. Because even surrounded by education, Spur was no model student. He was restless, disruptive, and conscious it. He later called himself a horrible, struggling student. Sit still and obey. So, other activities kept him busy. And by busy means hustling. At the time, he was about 10 years old, attempting to make money but could. He babysat, errand, sold whatever he could find, even a small stand outside his house selling frozen juice concentrate. He once attempted journalism, too, putting together single-issue campus newspaper with national local news, sports, and his own drawings. Building wasn't the goal. Resume. About survival, curiosity, and that early instinct to make, sell, or become something. Through it all, he had strong parental support. He always expressed their concern, care for their children, and how seriously became parents. He revered his father, who ran James' dorm. His dad had reputation for fairness, calmness, respectful. Kind of adult students did not want to disappoint. Even kids who would cause difficulties elsewhere behave in his dorm. Not out, respectful fear. Next, something Spader discovered: the stage, shifting. As an actor, he didn't only get better, he focused. Acting gave him concentration like school never did. It felt like his life began truly fit. Once that happened, school felt like a distraction instead of progress. He took a risk at 17. He dropped out and headed to New York City to pursue acting full-time. The dreams were enormous. Reality was harsh, and no sudden breakthroughs, no overnight success. There were only auditions, rejection, and piles odd jobs to survive. Hestable dung was shoveled. He took paid work. Then there was yoga work. He ended up somehow teaching yoga without knowledge about yoga. No instruction, no certification, not sure. He accepted work since hours were flexible and surroundings was nice. His method was straightforward and impromptu. He dimmed lighting, raised heat, persuaded folks into his inventive positions, location, sometimes falling asleep while doing it. It was ludicrous. It was sincere. It was survival. That is straightforward honesty followed him. Career. He never claimed acting was some divine calling. He's honest about he worked hard, occasionally out of excess, often financially necessity. He played many parts that were not artistically driven, but bills must be paid. He persisted under pressure to try to pick the best material could before his bank account demanded hand. And then the odd problem he encountered early. He was too good looking. He didn't resemble the character actor with weird texture felt inside. Looked like a leading dude. Hollywood saw the face first, then soul. So, when he didn't suit the pristine hero mold, he was placed next best. Category, villain. It. The 1980s saw Spader build a sleek, arrogant reputation, morally slippery man. He was your guy. Adore hate. He carried this oily, entitled energy that shaped his personalities feel terribly uncomfortable. In his pink audition was very pretty, making the casting director believe apparently reacted physically contempt for him before remembering only a show. That's how he was effective. In the late 80s, he entered the 1990s. Leading positions, but never safe. His characters remained odd, sexual, obsessive, and mental off-center. He liked stories about desire, control, intimacy, and uneasy intervals between. It wasn't accidental. Spur mapped much that to his upbringing. He enlarged growing raised in a very strict home, open, progressive, and unconcerned modesty. He had two older sisters. Family culture was relaxed regarding nudity, privacy, bodies. Bathroom doors remained. Clothing was optional. The home taught him early on that sexuality wasn't concealed or humiliating. just portion off life. Later, he couldn't recall when sexuality wasn't the focus he saw the world through. That his environment shaped him. Being grown up with strong women also affected his relationship with strength, appeal, and identity. It gave him interested in human behavior at persisted. One tale from he captured that wonderfully in childhood. The family summer camp was basically a chicken coop modified from not filled thin wood boards holes. Next to his sister's room, through those small openings in the wall, he watched quietly. His life, relationships, and moments possibly wasn't intended to see. That habit of observing and absorbing continued. It just when everything became acting finally worked. For most actors, at 40, the phone starts bit less ringing. To James Spader, things finally made sense. Place. His ladder was never classic. Climber. He wasn't seeking fame. Headlines, franchises. He took everything. Summer with his kids. Had disclosed that he generally accepted roles when funds were low and bills arrived. However, somehow the work improved instead of freeing up. Real turning point came Spader played E in 2002 with Secretary. Edward Gray mixed emotions, remoteness, control, obsession, and a strong special closeness into one disturbing packaging. According to Maggie Gyllenhaal appeared opposite him. He didn't consider odd energy. Enabled for camera. It was there. From the start. At their core first table read, he scarcely noticed her persona. He didn't. Introductions. Neither did he make tiny talk. He sat, stared at her, stayed there. She felt drawn and uneasy simultaneously. They didn't swap phone numbers. She knew almost his real life is unknown. Halfway through the shoot, he drew her aside, instructed her slowly had one ally on every project. This one was her. Since then, the dynamic changed. Its odd behavior. They shared a paper-thin trailer wall. He heard her breathing. She could hear him move. Instead of just speaking normally through the wall, he sent a production assistant to her door to officially summon her. 2 steps over, she walked. Knock, get invited in, and get a calculate piece. That became theirs. Ritual, a modest, dramatic echo-off movie they were making. Gyllenhaal later defined their relationship complicated. We had moments of connection, warmth, other moments when he utterly ignored her. She confessed more pain expected. During film press, he said he was the only set member interested in Lee Holloway. That was character she played. At first, she felt ignored. She realized that he thought there was no true separation of performer and role. He didn't ignore her. He just saw character. That hazy line persona and performance become his identity. Reputation. Around the same time, Hollywood silently realized something else. Out. Spader's emotional calm tone and uncomfortable poise was good for more than drama. They fit humor. That became apparent when he entered the practice scene its final season as Alan Shaw. Alan Shee was more than a lawyer. He was intelligent, manipulative, charming, highly self-aware, and unethical. He got results that made everyone else uncomfortable. His total presence changed the show's mood. And when season ended, it felt less like a conclusion and setup. That setup became Boston Legal. Spur moved late entry character to face off the new series with William Shatner as insane Denny Crane. On paper, it shouldn't have worked. Big personalities, 2 performers who chew scenery, but balance each other on screen perfectly. Spader had controlled T.O. Shatner's theater anarchy. One smooth, explosive, surgical, one absurd. The chemistry was clear. The show became something else. Rare. A legal drama capable, hilarious despite heavy themes, weird, passionate, unexpected. The Business noted Spader won this role 1 consecutive Emmys, beating some of the most prestigious names television. Then the Nearer that nearly reshaped comedy history. When Anchorman was confined together, casting was problematic, innovative, and surprising. The creators auditioned widely, tested varied combinations, steadily building a can-making outfit. Almost nobody realized at the time that James Spader was passionate about Playbrick Tamland. Not lightly. Obsession, not curiosity. When the script spread, word returned that Spader wanted the post badly. Response from creative team was shocked. He didn't fit anticipated character form. Brick chaotic, noisy, and empty-headed cartoonish. Controlled Spur, mental and uncomfortable. But Spader didn't care. He got the joke immediately. He realized the humor character wanted in. He fought for it. Team debated it seriously. They alternated. They concluded Spader was almost too excellent, precise, crisp for that kind of idiocy. They choose Steve Carell, historical path was familiar. Looking, it's clear how Spader in this role would have transformed the whole Brick Tamland feel. The same how Robert later entered California casting for The Office choice that changed everything. Now, surprisingly, The Office started as excellent British show remake made by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. It felt like a gamble. Original series washerably uncomfortable, dry, and constructed moments most TV shows tried hard to avoid. Jerry was extremely curious that why daily discomforts life. Believed the true drama wasn't through impassioned remarks or explosive arguments, but in the little, embarrassing situations they hope will end just vanish. A weird silence poor joke, social faux pas that no one can cure. A weird focus formed the center of the show. Contrary to expectation, sensibility jumped across Atlantic. A talent agent named Ben while watching the British version, Silverman in the UK, and understood quickly what made it special. In 2005, he sold the idea to NBC. American release was official. Motion. The show flowed thanks to a talented writing team including Mindy Kaling, BJ Novak, and others that felt balanced. Steve Carell and Renee Wilson displayed boldness comedy, with Jenna Fisher and John Krasinski anchored everything that more relatable everyday energy. That mix what made The Office great cultural giant. But no run lasts forever. Golden age of show ended turning point when Steve Carell decided stop after season 7. He sensed Michael Scott's tale ended naturally. Ending. After he left, the series had a big inquiry. How'd you replace that character? Instead of copying Michael Scott, producers went the other way direction. They introduced someone absolutely different. And therein came James Spader. Path to his casting was evident through Andy Book by Green, The Office. The unknown tale of the greatest sitcom 2000s. Everything began with the search committee. Season 7 finale celebrity guests paraded celebs taking manager auditions. Will Arnett, Ray Romano, Jim Carrey, Catherine Tate all appeared. But the Spader performance stood out. Immediately. Robert, his character, California wasn't warm or weird. Lovable. He was intense and smooth. Unsettling. A confident mystery who felt like he entered from another world. Different show. That contrast made him unmissable. The impact was huge. Strong that the network took off immediately interest. NBC executive Bob Greenblatt promoted Spader's hiring and creative team concurred. Authors and producers were captivated by he brought weird energy to the set. It's unfamiliar, slightly uncomfortable, strangely fascinating. They wanted to investigate. Ironically, Robert California was destined to fail. The plan was for Spader to appear simply 2 short sequences. He was intended to be another face in interviews, but once the footage came in, the scheme failed. Even with short screen time, the character felt alive. He provided intrigue, tension, and strange gravity the show hadn't had previously. The authors realized Calm let him go. Spader was interested from the start. Helikid, the creative team, vibed with completely cool set atmosphere with a quick visit. So when the producers returned, requested a lengthier stay, he agreed. He appeared next. That was no longer a guest. The man was season 8 centerpiece. Yes, many. This is also true for supporters. Around the time things went south downhill. See, Steve Carell as Michael Scott was unusual, scenes where actor and character merged the same individual. This wasn't just nice casting. It was lightning. Bottle. When Carell left, whatever followed season 7 wasn't assuming a job, entering a shadow that felt impossible to match. It's the cease in space James Spader entered Robert California, 8. And almost you felt it immediately. Robert California existed differently, different emotional world than everyone else in Scranton. The Office rapid speech, awkward pauses, petty stress, and emotional chaos. People overshare. Makes them uncomfortable. They spiral. That messiness is everything. Point. Robert California didn't play space at all. He was calm. Others were frantic, slow. All others rushed, controlled. Everyone fell apart. He wasn't uncomfortable, unneedy, and definitely not susceptible. In place of he became caught in the turmoil, floating above. Cool, remote, and silently intimidating. And that single subtly altered the mood the show. Spur was decent. Indeed, it was strong technically. It concentrated and intense, but the characters sucked energy scenes rather than enhancing them. Not bounce off the other actors. He often defeated them. Instead than increasing comedy, he flattened. The Office humor stemmed from overeffort, failing openly and desperately craving approbation. Rob California wanted none of that, and without need, the show's emotional motor stalled. Fit was evident behind the scenes that was never satisfied. Some crewmen Spader works in lengthy, ponderous speeches that didn't always survive editing. Other felt that he was uneasy playing in the chaotic groovy off the show. Used the cast to swiftly interruptions, reactions, and layers timing. Spader was from a controlled, dramatic approach, and two methods didn't always agree middle. Spader didn't notice that way. From his perspective, most his art appeared on screen, if he would have adjusted if not. But around him, the feeling grew that something wasn't right. Even the individuals designing the show visually musically sensed strain. The costume team, writers, and producers attempted to shape Robert California anything for the world of Scranton, but the character refused. Grounding. He was meant to destabilize, being a wild card, standing out apart. And a show created entirely concerning connection, discomfort, emotional intimacy. Separation became an issue. The main reason is that experiment failed. Office wasn't a show about powerful individuals ruling rooms. Small folks were trapped at little places, urgently attempting to concern each other. Michael Scott worked for love, approbation, laughter, approval. And he failed. Getting it all in deeply human ways. Robert California didn't want anything from anyone. He watched, judged, and managed. That made him, he found it intriguing, but not compelling. Belong. Finally, James Spader avoided failure. The Office just wasn't made for Spader. James Spader left Hollywood. Now we know why. Except a few, James Spader's career is unusual that resided largely outside the mainstream. His filmography is rich. Odd, intimate, and unsettling movies that fit better in boutique theaters over megaplexes. Watch Dream Lover, Crash, and Secretary. That decision influenced everything that followed. While others act for blockbusters and mass appeal, Spader quietly became known for selecting roles by interest they were, not their profits seen on paper. In the 1980s, that placed him in an awkward neutral. He looked like a teen idol, but character actor instincts. He wasn't meant to be the obvious hero romantic lead. He was drawn to oddballs, villains, and individuals something damaged or uncomfortable subsurface. So instead, he became a movie star that created charismatic lane adversaries and severely divided antiheroes. He found it fascinating. Work, but it also meant he was studios rarely call first. Wanted a safe, popular lead. Even his biggest commercial success shows that pattern. He made his most money with Avengers, Age of Ultron, and nothing appears on screen. His voice robot Ultron is chilly and dangerous, intellect bent on destruction humanity. Pure Spader, intense. Unusual, memorable, entirely unconventional. His off-screen priorities pulled him further away conventional Hollywood way. His family began in the late 1980s. First wife, Victoria Keel. And by the early 1990s, they had 2 boys. While several actors used that time boost their careers, Spur slowed his down. He desired home. Had desired summers with his kids. So, he rejected plenty of labor and only accepted roles for good pay enough or when needed. That decision established the appearance that silent or even stalled outdoors period. Between his sex breakthrough, lying, videotaping, and his revival appeared in 2002 with Secretary. Few films left a strong impression cultural mark. Some projects were Stargate and Wolf, but nothing lasting. Him always in the spotlight. It was not a risk. By intentionally leaving, he risked being perceived as undependable, unambitious, or merely forgotten. Even more so intriguing that Spader never pretended this was part of something grandmaster plan. He stated the opposite. As he describes himself, bad at career management, planned, and entirely uninterested Hollywood business, developing initiatives, networking, maintaining pipeline items. He hates a Laffit. If he's not on set acting, he'd rather not industry at all. The same casual attitude toward money. He has admitted he's not particularly responsible with cash. For years, he work, earn, spend, then find himself at zero by then the next task arrived. Those finances pressure was a major factor that he accepted new jobs. It also what led him to television provided stable income and long-term security like movies infrequently. Unlike many of his generation, same era, Spader never became tabloid content. There were no public scandals, nothing noteworthy, no planned meltdowns famous person. He always guarded his private life fiercely. He admitted it. Dislikes public appearances, red carpets, interviews, and performance. It comes with fame. He explained premieres as overpowering arduous, to endure rather than liked. His early life already uneasy and his career relishing the attention. Kidding about how out he gazed awkwardly at the front of flashing cameras. Instead of living, he appears intense, publicly poured into his job. He claims to be drawn to oddballs personalities and characters living just outside regular behavior. In numerous those personalities become his method of investigating human nature that he found fascinating but didn't want to in real life. He also never saw owing a sacred duty. To him, it began as an enjoyable hobby along with petty jobs until it became the thing one day paid bills. Though others were, he chased fame and attraction experiences. Performing led him into other lives, identities, scenarios he'd never face otherwise. That playfulness never diminished really left. He even described his career as sluggish, not because he doesn't labor on set, doesn't want constant work. Hevelu's life over visibility. Long gaps are his preference. Projects. He likes disappearing. When he works, gives everything. When he ally doesn't. That, however, intensity has its effects. Complications. Spur is known for being hard and demanding, quite special. The man is known attentive to subtle nuances others miss, no one would notice. He spoke. Discuss obsessive traits, how they affect his set performance. Hyperfocus helps McKeat, can make him so captivating on television, also hinder collaboration. Stars call him someone who will interrupt a scene if something feels a little wrong. An entryway theta gesture that feels false, without resonance, emotionally open. He'll stop everything until repaired. That, although frustrating, perfectionism is also why his performances feel solidly and precise. Early in his career, his appearance shaped the type's various roles offered. He always more mature than he was composed, confident, less vulnerable. He was ideal for that, dominant characters, manipulation, or moral ambiguity. Over time became his brand. Smug one's affluent kid, attractive villain, charming sociopath, smart, hazardous mind. That image stayed. Even he tried to play softer or more benign characters were nevertheless shown an uneasy undercurrent. He has discussed auditioning for gentle positions and being taught la turf terrified them. That distance between who he is and what others think followed him throughout. So he leaned in. He enjoyed being the publicum loves to loathe him. From Pretty Pink to Boston Legal to Blacklisted to Ultron's secretary, he became the voice or face intelligence, risk, and moral complexity. A peculiar form of stardom. He is famous, but not everywhere. Celebrated, but not constantly visible. Respected, but rarely mainstream. Currently, there are no film projects in development wings.